Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
Today, during our first segment, we're going to tell you about cosmos, not the planets, but the flowering annual. Light, airy foliage. It is beautiful.
Patio Snacker cucumber is a space-saving cucumber plant with full-size fruit. Hear all about it in our second segment.
During our third segment, we're going to talk about something that's really exciting, and you're going to want to listen.
Heuchera, a.k.a. coral bells, are a dynamic perennial that has highly ornamental leaves and flowers. Hear about some of our favorites in our fourth segment.
It's Weed Wars. I'll tell you all about a weed that seems to have taken over my lawn. Listen to how to control wild strawberries during our final segment.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Fertilum's azalea and evergreen food plus systemic insecticide 915-3 contains 5 micronutrients which are designed for azaleas and evergreens to provide the proper nutrients and producing stunning green leaves and essential new growth while protecting the plant from damaging insects for up to 8 weeks. Fertilum's azalea and evergreen food contains 9% nitrogen for green growth, building bigger stems and leaves, 15% phosphorus for root growth and increased flower production, 13% potash to promote vigorous growth so plants are better able to resist disease and cold. The micronutrients are the icing on the cake to enhance further growth, strengthen, and beautify color. Tired of seeing your plants prematurely drop their leaves, the flowers disappear? Fertilum's Azalea Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 contains an easy-to-apply insecticide that keeps your azaleas and evergreens looking great all year long. Those hungry insects do not have a chance. Apply in spring before buds sprout and continue throughout the season as indicated on the label growing guide. Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 with micronutrients is a must for the passionate azalea and evergreen grower to help produce that beautiful abundance of color and fantastic fragrance everyone will love. So next time you visit your favorite garden center, pick up Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic and expect to have the best looking shrubs in the neighborhood. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Cosmos.
Oh, boy.
Cosmos is a beautiful annual flowering plant that has light and airy foliage. And that's what I like about it the most, is that the foliage behind it, if you cut it and put it in a vase, looks, you don't need fern, you don't need to have anything else. You could just do a bunch of cosmos. Now,
awesome.
It's hard to explain for you guys out there on Radio Land, but if you go to our YouTube channel, you can absolutely see what we're talking about. We have a tray of cosmos here in the studio with us. Think cottage garden. Cottage garden, like, you know, that English type garden.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're mostly in hues of pinks and purples, a little bit of white. There are some yellow cosmos out there, but to be honest with you, I don't particularly like them.
I don't like them either.
You know, they don't pop the way that think of romantic gardens.
Yes.
That's where it's used. Comes from the Greek of cosmos, meaning beautiful and growing tall with their fine, feathery, deciduous foliage.
Wow.
You don't want to miss planting cosmos, especially if you're doing a cutting garden. At Bloomers, we have that whole section, and I find this interesting because Julio at Bloomers works in the nursery and the perennials and really doesn't get that much time up in the annual section. And that there are some times where, you know, he said, I didn't know we had this kind of thing.
Yeah, what's that?
But let me go there. I'm talking directly, like the cosmos that we have in the cutting garden section are specific colors, and that there's a carmine is a type of cosmos that's a magenta, a dark magenta,
Dark, yes.
very, very, very pretty. And but it's the foliage. If you think of, all right, perennial man, Coreopsis, right? Moonbeam Coreopsis.
Zagreb.
How that Zagreb, right? That has that real feathery foliage.
Yes.
That's the same type of look that the cosmos has. So it can be, it's a beautiful plant in that there are some varieties that only get to be out 18 inches tall. Not many, but those are fantastic by themselves in a container.
Yeah.
So thinking about something.
When you're talking about the ferniness, Len, it's like it kind of softens it. It gives it a soft look to it. You know what I mean?
It does. It does. And it's wispy and it blows in the wind.
It blows in the wind. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. That again, it's a plant that anybody can use, and if you love cut flowers, it can be mixed into a garden. And I had cosmos in the front of my house. I was trying to like George and Martha Washington. I kept thinking because I have a center hall colonial home, and I ripped out all of the shrubs in the front bed of my house. Wow. Not my foundation planting, but over on the other side of the walkway.
Yeah, I remember.
And I had roses there and some other shrubs that were just kind of getting old and ratty. And I eliminated all of them, and I planted the cutting garden in front there.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it was mixed with zinnias. There were, I had Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah.
That got a little big. That got a little big. I will not plant those again. But I had asters. And I could just go out and make a bunch of cut flowers, you know, just by walking out to the front door. And all summer
long. Wow.
Cosmos are one of those plants where when you go and you cut it for cut flowers, it makes it that much more prolific.
Yeah. You get more as you cut more.
That's right. What do you think? Good pollinator?
Oh, great pollinator.
That's right.
Love it. Love it.
If you were thinking about a pollinating garden, I mean, outstanding.
It is.
Outstanding. It has a wide open daisy type flower where not like a cone flower where it's got the, you know, the center's real big, but you can see where it's open, where you can see where both bees and butterflies, even hummingbirds, are going to be visiting this plant. I'm surprised it's not more popular
than what it is. Huh?
Yeah, because it has it all.
It does.
It has it all.
We talk about pansies being a tough plant.
Right. Now, right?
You know?
With a name like pansies, you got to be tough.
That's right.
But Cosmos isn't too far behind.
No, it's not.
But you could do this along like a taller, if you wanted a border, like a taller border or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
that'd be great.
I was reading an article and it talked about the top 10 reasons everyone should be growing Cosmos. Okay, number 10. It is the easiest to grow flower and is generally a pest-free annual.
There you go. Who can't beat that?
I don't need any others.
No, you don't.
I don't have to worry about diseases or anything else.
That's right.
hot and dry locations.
There you go.
So you got an area where the sprinkler system doesn't hit it all the time unless the wind blows.
That's the one.
There you go. Or you just forget about watering it. Can do it. Can be planted, again, in poor soils. Self-seeding.
That's another one.
I sometimes, like, for instance, there are things like even impatiens are self-seeding sometimes. And that what we mean by that, folks, is that after the plant pollinates and it drops its seed into the soil, and then the next spring they start sprouting, and you have these little annuals that most people think are weeds, but they're actually all of a sudden, surprise, hey, I'm Cosmos, I'm back.
Back again.
So they can be self-seeding, and if you're inclined to try to sort out Cosmos versus another weed because they don't look like the regular plant of Cosmos when they're just germinating, go for it. Go for it. Yeah. You can direct seed them, where you can buy a packet of seeds and put them in the ground. Yeah. We're talking vegetable gardens for a second. Why don't people? We sell bean plants.
We do.
It is the stupidest thing.
Right.
When a person buys bean plants. No offense, everybody. But you could put a green bean seed in the soil, and you can buy a packet for $1, maybe $2, and you can just put the seed in the soil, and it's up the next week. Yeah. And rather than buy you get 4 plants for like $2 something, rather than having to do that. And then,
get the seed.
Your beans are expensive, where you can just do it by seed.
There you go.
Anybody out there, just plant your beans by seed.
There you go.
Right in the ground, right in the ground. And, make sure you're using bush beans unless you want to go through the whole trellis thing. But not me. I'm lazy. Anyway, bush beans can grow. Anyway, back to Cosmos. You can plant your Cosmos seeds the same way.
Yeah.
The same way. And then they'll come up. They're easy. And again, that because they're a great cut flower, I mean,
wonderful.
I can't tell you that when I would have that other plants, like I had in that cut garden, I also had celosia.
Yeah, very nice.
It was okay.
Yeah.
But I avoided it. It was like, it's going to foul the water quick and everything else, where I just found myself cutting just bunches and bunches of Cosmos to use as opposed to using some of the other things. Now, it's all about texture, and we talk to you guys all the time, whether it's landscaping, whether it's using a flower garden, creating a flower garden, or the flower beds in front of your house, or perennials. It's color, texture, and form, and that's why you put Cosmos in. But and because of the light texture, but also that's why you put in some things that have a little bit heavier texture, like, for instance, the celosia. But I found myself just gravitating towards the Cosmos because it just did so much better.
You talked here about drying, huh?
Yeah.
Flower dry.
How about that?
Yeah.
You can dry. You can dry out your Cosmos and use them as a dried flower. And because they're so tall, you can put them behind like evergreens and things like that, where you would kind of think, it's more like a tall perennial. And that because they're so easy to grow, you can get them to grow in that dry situation. They're going to need sun, but again, it's not all day burning sun, which they'll grow in perfectly fine. But if you get some light shade, they'll be okay.
A little bit, yeah.
They'll be okay. And attracts birds, butterflies, and hummingbirds.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, they in that article, it said the number one reason is growing Cosmos is as close to any of us will ever come to actually causing a cosmic event.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, it is.
But it will be easy for any of us to produce flowers and arrangements of cosmic proportions.
Wow. Look out.
Oh, that's horticulture humor. Usually not funny. Anyway, go out to your local garden center this weekend. Go and get some Cosmos planted, and you will be back again. Next year, your whole garden may be Cosmos.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's the foliage with the flower that makes it look so tremendous.
It is.
And
Beautiful.
we're talking tall. It's going to be 2 to 3 feet tall, and depending on variety.
That's right.
So
Some can
make
be
sure
20,
you're
like,
checking
these are
those
20
tags.
inches, so.
What'd you say?
These are smaller. The ones we have here are smaller.
In the studio?
They're only about 20 inches tall.
20 inches tall?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's see, that's perfect. That's a kind you could put into a pot.
Right. Yep. Beautiful.
Dig it. More horticulture humor. Stop shaking your head, Aaron. No, not everybody can be as cute as your daughter. Yeah, that's right. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Castine Organic Raised Bed Mix can be found at these fine stores.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff?
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Cucumbers can sprawl all over the place in garden and take till midsummer to produce not with cucumber patio snacks, though.
Yeah.
Snackers, these are the best.
It does. It takes forever for cucumbers to...
Oh, my gosh.
And they sprawl, like, all of a sudden they're...
Oh, I know, because I got a raised bed and it took over.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
See? And that the variety we're going to talk about today is called Cucumber Patio Snacker. Now, it may sound like a small cucumber, but what it does, it's actually the same size fruit. So it's a...
Right, it
now,
is.
Tomato is actually a fruit. Mm-hmm. Is a cucumber a fruit or a vegetable?
Gosh.
All right, Sam, what do you think? Fruit or vegetable?
Fruit.
Fruit.
I'm going with vegetable.
Going with vegetable. Vegetable. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yep. I knew it.
Yeah. So, and again, Cucumber Patio Snacker. And if anybody would like to want to do some horticultural sparring, give us a call. I'm ready. I got my gloves on. Again, the variety Cucumber Patio Snacker. I thought it was going to be a smaller size, like a pickling cucumber,
Right.
or a small like dwarf English cucumber, but it's not. It is the same size as like a market more. And again, some people let their market more cucumbers grow like to be giant fat things.
fat.
But by that time, they have seeds in them that you don't want to eat them. Where the patio snacker is a plant that stays more compact, more dense, and that it gets a prolific amount of cucumbers. And it's that same slicing cucumber that you want for salads or for on top of sandwiches and such. Again, it's a great variety. Patio snacker, right? But we got criticized recently for not saying the name enough because we had somebody call and ask, "Well, what product were you talking about to cure my roses?" Or
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so we have to say it. Patio snacker.
Snacker.
So what do you need to say?
Patio snacker.
Patio snacker.
There you go.
Look for that cucumber at your local garden center.
You like cucumbers?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, cucumbers I like.
Good.
I'm
Very
still
good.
trying to decide on squash. I think if I grilled zucchini squash, I'd like it
like it?
better. Yeah. Yeah, it needs to, I don't know, like anything, it needs a dip.
Yeah.
Tomatoes,
Never.
never. Sun-dried tomatoes I can deal with.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, well, we're off topic. 3 to 5 foot vines.
Oh, boy. That's my kind.
That's your raised garden bed.
yeah.
So 3 foot, if you're talking about 3 foot on each side, I mean, that's not that much. Now, 5 foot maybe, but that's going to be towards the end of the season. And here's another beautiful part of the patio snacker
Patio
cucumber. Patio snacker. Aaron, can we put in like what do they do when they put it in the background? Like it hypnotizes people that they hear the sound in the back. Patio snacker, patio snacker.
Sure.
That where
Hypnosis
it's,
bumper. I got you.
where they do
Yeah.
Paul is Dead backwards on
Yeah, I
the
got you.
Beatles album.
Little circle blur going on.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I got you.
All right, we're going to have to do that. So patio snacker. If we're talking about patio snackers in that they have a fruit that is about 6 to 8 inches, but it will produce earlier than the other varieties. Other varieties, you've got to wait, like you said in the intro, you've got to wait till midsummer. These are going to produce probably about 30 days from the time that you plant them,
Quick.
which is very quick, which
Very
is an
quick.
early summer.
Oh, yeah.
Early summer. So also perfect for a container.
Beautiful.
Perfect for a container. You can plant these at half barrel would even be big. You could do 14-inch pots and then put a trellis in it or even just do one of the basic tomato cages, something that has some support because, again, they're going to grow on it, but it's going to weigh it down. Again, patio snacker. is a great plant for containers. And we're not just talking about like Julio's raised bed. We're talking about just on its own. On its own. Few disease problems, insect problems. Cucumbers are going to get, cucumber beetle and such. You just got to keep an eye out for it. In a container, they're going to be less as opposed to in the ground. But again, patio snacker. Anyway, that it's going to be, again, 3 foot on all directions. So it's almost like a bush type, a bush type vegetable plant, but not quite. It's just that it's going to be prolific in a smaller amount of space. I like it. And that's why we're bringing it to you.
Yeah. You know what's amazing?
Tell me, Julio.
Science. Again, they've
That's right.
come up with this plant.
That's right.
Can come into a small area that now those people who couldn't have, the one that's so huge and big.
That's right. That's right. And this is the way that, honestly, that the agricultural community feeds the world.
That's right.
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 Anyway, it's these developments making things more prolific that take up less space.
Wonderful.
All right. What's that called?
Patio snacker.
You had
Cucumber.
to read it. Love you, Julio. All right. We'll be right back right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Do you think you have insects eating away your nice, beautiful lawn? Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below is the product for you. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below not only controls chinch bugs, which is a surface-feeding insect, but also controls grubs, which is a subsurface feeding insect. It does it all, guaranteed. When most homeowners see their lawn turning brown in the summer, they think grubs. Damage from the larva, Japanese beetle. But in many cases, it could be chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are hard to see because they are so small and you'd need to get down on your hands and knees to see them. If you misdiagnose your problem, Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below has you covered. The product will control both chinch bugs and grubs. This summer, control your pest problems with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. It also may be used in flower beds, on landscape ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below will also control crane fly larvae, ants, mole crickets, sod webworms, bill bugs, and many more. Your property will be pest-free with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. So next time you're visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below and expect to have the best-looking lawn and landscape in the neighborhood.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Prized for their fantastic foliage and a choice of bold colors from deep purple to zing lime.
Ooh.
Zingy lime. These compact, well-branched, behaved plants for containers and borders are Heuchera.
Yes.
Also known as coral bells. That's the old name.
Old name?
Old name. Yep.
Old.
Julio, you suggested we do something on coral bells.
Yes, I did.
And that we often talk coral bells. There's two patterns, really. The leaves are in the foliage, just like how a hosta, like hostas get flowers, right, but they're not really grown for flowers. No. They're grown for the foliage. I think that the varieties of Heuchera, a.k.a. coral bells, are in a merge where they're merging between the flowers now and the foliage, and I love that fact.
Yes.
I love that fact. Let's talk about, all right, where do I plant Heucheras?
You can plant them in the ground or in containers if you like.
Really?
Yes.
Do I need full sun or shade?
You need shade most of all, but there are some varieties that can take the sun, by the way.
That's right. That's right. Dark-leafed varieties are going to be a darker leaf in the sun. So the more sun that like the purple leaves get, the more purpley they'll be.
Yeah.
And that if they're in the shade, they'll be a little more green.
Greener.
So I love Heuchera, but I had a problem.
What was your problem?
Well, hello, my name's Len, and I overwatered my Heuchera.
Did you? And you
Hi, Len.
You always
Come
talk about
on,
water.
don't you-
Come on.
Oh, you've never been to AA. Anyway, that I went and put them in a spot where it was wet, really wet, and they got waterlogged.
There you go.
And they died. So,
There you go.
whoops.
Yep. There you go.
Again, it was at someone else's house. So I'll say that I didn't know the conditions that well.
Okay.
But it turned out to be in a spot where it was real close to a patio,
Right.
and that it trapped the water.
All the water in there?
All the water in there. So it was really wet. So make sure that they get some drainage. You can't put them in a wet spot. Wet spot. That would be a spot for hostas for sure.
Yeah.
They can take dry shade.
Yeah.
That's something that's hard to plant in.
It is.
I have a lot of situations like, how about you got some shade in the backyard, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
dry shade,
Yeah,
or does
has
it
some
say
dry
pretty
shade
moist? Because a
area.
lot of times that doesn't compute. Or it's, what do you mean dry shade? That means it always doesn't dry out. It's like, no. With the roots of trees and things like that are absorbing all of that water, and it doesn't stay on top. So again, dry shade. Again, the chartreuse varieties of leaves will like be brilliant when you're looking at the edge of like a shade area where they really, really will stand out.
Yeah, well.
Now, I picked a few varieties that I particularly like. And I think, Julio, we have in the studio,
Yep. we do.
those of you that are watching on YouTube, we have marmalade in, right?
Yeah, marmalade.
There it is,
yeah, there it is.
marmalade. Marmalade, it almost looks like an October plant.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. and how would you describe it, Julio?
Well, on the top of the leaf is kind of a, what would you say, orangey, kind of
Yeah, like
yellowish,
amber.
Amber, yeah. And then underneath is a totally different color. It's more like
pink.
a burgundy, you'd say.
Yeah, like a pale burgundy.
Pale burgundy, yeah, which is really amazing.
And that has white flowers.
Yep,
I
little
want
white
to forget
flowers.
that. And that it gives a different color. And it, for those of you out there, that doesn't look dead. Okay. Yeah. Some people think, oh, it looks dead. No, it does not. It just gives a different color from your the palette, the color wheel that you're not used to seeing. I chose a couple here, and it's really a series. It's part of the Timeless series. Now try to remember this. Heuchera Timeless. Timeless, where plants are now being marketed not just as plants. They're now, I think, marketing has gotten a hold of the plant industry. Right. You know, Proven Winners being the number one marketer of plants. But these are not Proven Winners. Timeless is a series of Heuchera that are also grown not for just the foliage, but the flower spikes. And they are incredible. And we have one of my favorites. Now, this is the last one we're going to talk about, but like, for instance, Berry Timeless is a green leaf variety that is loaded with flowers and is grown specifically for flowers. And those old timers like myself, you'll remember that coral bells were green leaf plant. There was no like purple and yellow and green or like chartreuse green. Mm-hmm. There was nothing like that. Mm-hmm. It was always green flower with a like reddish, deep pink flower.
That's it.
And that was it. That was it. But now the varieties that you see in the Timeless series, like glossy burgundy foliage, topped with a pastel pink flower spike, and they bloom forever, constantly blooming. Yeah. And even when the bloom spike goes out of bloom, it still is ornamental.
It is.
It still is ornamental.
It's a dried flower, right?
Huh?
It's a dried flower.
It is a dried flower. It is a dried flower. It's stunning. Now, there are different varieties in this here. So that's Timeless Night, okay? Timeless Night. Ken, that's the one that again, deep burgundy foliage, pastel pink flowers. Timeless Treasure, Julio. Tell me what Timeless Treasure looks like.
Deep burgundy leaves with silver frosting, bearing countless flower spikes of pink flowers. That's amazing. And it blooms from mid-spring through early autumn. How about that?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, because the leaves themselves look a little different. That they have like a little bit of, like it says, that silvery look to them. Then again, the first one that we started with was the Heuchera Berry Timeless. I was amazed when we first got this, and it's a fairly new plant. We first got this, I was amazed on the amount of flower spikes that it put out. And it not just at one time, but how long. I find them amazing. Like you could go through and like say, we're talking about that the flowers can remain on the plant, look like a dried plant. You can go through and cut all of those off, and it's going to send up new flower spikes.
Yeah,
so
it's going to rebloom. Yeah.
And that's the traditional old-fashioned, if you will, green-leaved variety with the pink, or it's more of a reddish pink flower spike. Love it. Love it. So many Heucheras out there, but if you go to your local garden center and ask, do you have any of the Timeless series Heuchera? Okay, that's the varietal name. Okay, it's in the name of all of the ones that we talked about today, except for I guess the one marmalade. But if you can't go wrong,
No, you can't.
you can't go wrong. I'm amazed on how, because again, there's the red leaf with the red. It's just a deep red. Oh yeah, it's a deep red. It still has a tinge of pink to it, but it's just an amazing.
It is amazing. You got to come in and see it.
If you are watching on YouTube, you can see the multiple flower spikes that are on the plants. Yeah. And that when you go to your local garden center and you ask for the Timeless series, the red leaf with that background as a red leaf, and then the flowering spikes, it's just tremendous. And like we talked about cosmos, it has a different airy feeling. When they're not in flower, they look a kind of, I don't know, it's a different texture almost. Yeah. And then when you get flower spikes, it's a completely different texture from what it looked like if it was just leaves.
Amazing plant.
Look for the Timeless series at your local garden center. And the reason is because it's a continual flower. A lot of the older varieties that we've grown to love, this will replace them. I guarantee it.
Sure.
I guarantee it, because the flower spikes give a different dimension than just being leaves.
And all those people out there who are into natives, these are nativars.
Nativars. That's right. That's right. All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Well, are you looking for a flowering border plant or a foundation plant that has a blue flower? Monrovia's Nursery Summertime Blues Chase Tree, also known as Vitex, might be the answer. So, Julio, Vitex gets normal Vitex. Yeah. And you guys, many of you may not know it, but a Vitex is one of those summer flowering trees that gets to be about 15 foot. The flower, it could be like in the same family as like the kind of like a butterfly bush.
Yeah,
you know, so like Buddleia, but it has a spiky flower. But the problem is once it got up to that larger size of 15 foot, it was a little weedy. It's like, what do I do with it now? Do I cut it down? Monrovia has come up with a new variety, and it's science, folks. Mm-hmm. We keep telling you it's science. They have a new variety called Summertime Blues. And again, Monrovia Summertime Blues Chased Tree is its common name. I got to research that. Why do they call it chase tree?
I don't know.
You
tell me.
There is a horticultural joke. You ready, Aaron? Ready, Aaron? Aaron's going to like this one. This variety of chased tree, chastity, right? Chase tree, is asexual reproduction. And what that means is that it doesn't
need anybody.
It's not sterile. It's sterile, so it needs to be propagated. So you have to take it by cutting. So it's not going to be an invasive species.
Was that the same thing with my poinsettia?
That's your poinsettia. We're not talking about your poinsettia that you planted in February. But again, what that means basically is that if anybody tries to take cuttings of this on their own, that they're breaking the law.
Oh.
There are royalties and other such things. It's patented.
Wow.
Where's the park police when you need them?
And again, it's not going to cause all of a sudden an infestation of your garden the way that the old varieties of, say, Buddleia used to. Anyway, that's just a side note. We're horticulture human. The chase tree is asexual reproduction, which I find interesting.
Where the plant police at? Where they at?
Maybe we've been behind the... I've been in the garden too long. Grows in full sun, but it only gets to 5 to 6 feet tall.
Wow, that's great.
5 to 6 feet tall and 4 foot wide. So it could work in the edge of a corner plant, or like where I always like when people go and where they're planting a landscape, that they go 45 degrees from the corner of their house, plant a tree or something, a large growing, and then they have that space to take up. You could put in easily this variety, Summertime Blues Chase Tree. Honestly, in the trade, mostly the time we call it Vitex. It's Vitex is its botanical name. Mm-hmm. I like Vitex. It sounds like a cool name.
Cool name, yeah.
So if you're looking for Vitex Summertime Blues from Monrovia, you pointed this out to me, Julio. Tell me about what this particular plant, what it looks like.
You know, it looks like I've been reading it, and it does. It looks like a lilac, you know, when you look at it. And,
it's the leaves that make it look like a lilac, because it doesn't have the typical Vitex leaves.
Yeah, it doesn't have the
But the flowers are spiky.
Spiky, yeah. They're pretty awesome looking.
And how long does it flower?
Oh, my gosh. It flowers during the summer.
For how long?
During the summer, whole summer.
The whole summer?
Yeah.
So when the customer said, do you have anything that flowers all summer?
Yes, we do.
It's called the
Vitex.
There you go. And again, Vitex Summertime Blues.
I like the name.
Easy to care for.
Yeah.
Full sun to light shade. No insects or diseases. No issues with drought issues. Mm-hmm. Totally drought tolerant.
Oh yeah.
And it is deciduous. It is a deciduous plant. But again, it's something that has a blue color in the flower.
Oh, gosh.
Where it will. I mean, it calls to you when you see it in flower.
You do.
And again, it is Summertime Blues, and it's Monrovia developed it 5 to 6 foot tall, as opposed to the Vitex that gets 15 foot tall and gets weedy when it gets big. And Julio brought up that it looks kind of like a lilac, and that's because of the leaves. The leaves look a little different than a regular Vitex, but again, beautiful flower, beautiful size, easy to care for. You know, this is the type of tree or plant, it's shrub, that you give to somebody who says they have a brown thumb.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's Summertime Blues Vitex.
Right.
I like it.
I like it too.
We'll be back at the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. You know, some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers.
Sickles Market, Little River, New Jersey. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, we're on YouTube. Have we mentioned that enough? You want to see what Julio looks like in that hat? We need to do something about that hat.
Yeah, we do.
And you can let us know. What do you think of Julio's goatee? I don't know. It helps when you shave the rest of your face.
All right.
Anyway. All right. So I'm walking in my lawn, right? Walking.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at the grass. And I'm looking down, and all of a sudden I see these red things. You know, it's like the birds drop something, and they're stupid wild strawberries.
Is that what you have?
And they look exactly like strawberries. And they're all growing underneath the cut zone of my head. So, you cut your grass 4 inches tall. This is growing all in the bottom, smothering the grass as they grow.
Yeah, right.
And I could barely see it. If you look across the lawn, you don't see it. But when you're on the lawn,
On top of it?
yeah, I was tempted to pick one and eat one.
Were you
I really was. Look, I didn't put anything down that any chemicals or anything.
you don't do that.
Obviously, and I didn't put it on any weed control.
Yeah, right.
But so it's a wild strawberry, and it's a perennial like regular strawberries. Flowers are usually yellow, sometimes white, but they spread real low, real flat. Honestly, you probably make a great ground cover, but anyway. And I don't. The first of all, don't eat them. Okay,
What,
they
you tried
taste
it?
terrible.
You tried it,
No,
didn't you?
I didn't try it. I checked first. I wanted to
Okay.
make sure, that it wouldn't be, I wouldn't spend my night doubled over in pain. Evidently, they're really, really dry. But I've got to put down a weed control to get them pretty much under control, and it's not too hard. Weed Beater Ultra, but I need to spray. A couple weeks back, we talked about the what is it? The Bear? No, it's Bio Advanced 5-in-1, where that controls crabgrass, that controls broadleaves, that controls. I think it has a fertilizer in it. It's got 5 different things that it'll control, and I think I'm going to use that.
That one,
And it's a granule. You put it in your spreader, but you want to make sure that your grass is a little wet so that it sticks to the weed. And the only reason why I want to use this is because it's a pretty wide leaf surface. Again, you think of what a strawberry plant looks like, that it has a wide leaf that it can catch those particles and it will kill them. So those of you that have this wild strawberry, you can use like a weed and feed. Like if you have step 2 that you haven't put down, let's call it step 2, or a weed and feed, which would be the second step, that would control it, along with dandelions and other things. Absolutely, the Weed Beater Ultra, which is a liquid, that would control it as well. Maybe better, because it will coat the leaf when you put it down, but you have to make sure that you do get it, and it's underneath your regular grass. So
cut your grass.
Again, it's probably going to work the best, but again, I go back to, usually I poo-poo the granules. Like, I don't want to use a granule. It's not going to stick to anything. But as long as you have your grass, it's like early in the morning. How about the weather we're having, right?
Oh, I know.
It was chilly this morning.
39?
Yeah,
It's like, what?
it's like, what's going on? And whoever you were that called Bloomers and asked if you should cover your plants, great job. You didn't have to, but the issue is that they knew under 40 degrees should I cover my plants, and that they were okay. Which she had petunias
On top.
but when it's got that little bit of dew on the grass in the morning, it's a great time to apply your granular weed control. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'll let you know. I'll give you an update on how well it works. And I'm probably going to, because I want to test that 5-in-1 by Bio Advanced.
Right.
Because again, it controls everything. And I'll admit it, I have everything. But I have grass too. But at least I don't have zoysia.
Yeah, I know.
All right. On that note,
All right.
we'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks, Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Wow, I'm telling you, Len.
Lots of new plants to learn today.
A lot of.
I'll tell you what, lots to learn. Yeah. Look, if you guys out there, please, we are here as a resource to help you with your lawn, landscape, or garden. Make sure you call or text the hotline. I'd like people to call. I love hearing
I like
calling. We'll call you back with your answer to your question. The telephone number to call is 609
685
1880.
You got it.
Leave your question. We'll call you back.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, if you are listening to us in the garden, and you can listen to us anytime, okay? You can go on your favorite podcasting platform or go to bloomers.com and visit us on the radio tab. There you go.
There you go. Also, thank you, producer extraordinaire Sam. Thank you very much. Great job today. And we'll see you next week right here in the garden.